Welcome to the 7 Days Report. I'm your host, Vasilios Nikolaos Vitsalogiannis. We are here every weekend at 12 and 21 to bring you the latest headlines, in-depth analysis, and insightful commentary on the stories that matter most. Whether you're tuning in for a recap of the week or looking for a deeper understanding of global events, we've got you covered. Let's start with our first news. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has described the suspects in the deadly Bondi Beach terror attack as being driven by ideology, vowing a robust national security response amid public outrage. The attack unfolded on a bustling Saturday afternoon when two individuals, aged 24 and 32, allegedly drove a stolen van into crowds along the iconic beachfront promenade. 5 people were killed, including a family of tourists, and 18 others were injured, several critically. Witnesses describe chaotic scenes of panic as emergency services rushed to the scene. Albanese addressed the nation from Parliament House, stating, "This was no random act of violence." Intelligence reports confirm the perpetrators were radicalized online and motivated by extremist ideology. He confirmed both suspects, Australian-born with no prior convictions, had pledged allegiance to a foreign terrorist group via social media hours before the assault. Police neutralized the threat within minutes, shooting one suspect dead and arresting the other. A manhunt continues for potential accomplices. New South Wales Premier Chris Minns echoed the PM, calling it Australia's darkest days since the 2002 Bali bombings. In response, Albanese announced heightened counter-terrorism measures, including expanded surveillance powers and de-radicalization programs. Bondi Beach remains closed as forensics teams scour the site. Community leaders urged calm with interfaith vigils planned. "We stand united against hate," Albanese added. Myanmar's military junta insisted Tuesday that detained former leader Aung San Suu Kyi remains in good health, directly countering desperate pleas from her son, who fears the 80-year-old Nobel laureate could die without his knowledge. The statement from the junta's information team came a day after Kim Aris, Suu Kyi's London-based son, publicly expressed anguish over her condition. "For all I know, she could be dead," Aris told Reuters on Monday, highlighting years of restricted access and scant updates on her well-being since her 2021 arrest. Detained alongside her son and other top officials from her ousted government, Suu Kyi faces over 20 years in prison on charges widely viewed as politically motivated, including corruption and election fraud allegations. State media quoted the junta as saying Suu Kyi, imprisoned in an undisclosed location, receives regular medical checkups and is fit and fine. Yet, the opaque response has fueled skepticism among rights groups and her supporters. Amnesty International called it vague reassurance, urging independent verification amid reports of harsh prison conditions, including stifling heat and limited health care. Suu Kyi's plight underscores Myanmar's deepening crisis since the 2021 coup, which sparked nationwide protests, a brutal crackdown killing thousands, and an ongoing civil war with ethnic armed groups and pro-democracy fighters gaining ground. The junta, led by Senior General Min Aung Hlaing, faces international isolation and U.S. sanctions, yet controls little beyond urban centers. Aris, who last saw his mother years ago, renewed calls for her release, warning that time is running out for the icon who spent decades under house arrest fighting for democracy. The Venezuelan government issued a fiery condemnation on Wednesday against U.S. President Donald Trump's executive order authorizing a naval blockade of Venezuelan shipping routes, labeling it warmongering threats that risk escalating tensions in the region. Foreign Minister Yvonne Gill addressed a press conference in Caracas accusing the Trump administration of imperialist aggression aimed at crippling Venezuela's oil exports amid ongoing U.S. sanctions. "This blockade is not about security, it's a declaration of economic war," Gill declared, vowing that Venezuelan forces would defend national sovereignty by any means necessary. The order, signed earlier this week, directs the U.S. Navy to intercept vessels suspected of evading sanctions, targeting shipments of crude oil that fund President Nicolas Maduro's government. The move reignites a long-simmering U.S.-Venezuela standoff, exacerbated by Trump's return to the White House and his pledge to intensify pressure on Maduro's regime. Critics in Washington, including some Republican lawmakers, warn the blockade could spike global oil prices and provoke armed confrontation, while supporters hail it as a bold step to isolate a dictatorship. Maduro echoed Gil's rhetoric in a televised address, calling Trump a genocidal warmonger and rallying supporters with chants of defiance. Regional allies like Cuba and Russia condemned the order, with Moscow urging de-escalation. Analysts fear the blockade could disrupt vital humanitarian aid flows and draw in hemispheric powers. As U.S. warships repositioned in the Caribbean, the international community watches warily for the next move in this high-stakes geopolitical chess game. The United States escalated its feud with the International Criminal Court, ICC, imposing sanctions on 3 additional ICC judges for their roles in an ongoing probe into alleged Israeli war crimes in Gaza. The move, announced by the State Department, targets judges overseeing the court's investigation into atrocities linked to Israel's military operations since October 2023. State Department spokesperson Matthew Miller cited the judge's unlawful pursuit of arrest warrants against Israeli officials, including Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, as justification. The ICC has no jurisdiction over Israel, a non-member state, and these actions threaten U.S. and allied sovereignty, Miller stated. The sanctions freeze the judge's U.S. assets and bar American travel, building on penalties imposed last year under an executive order by President Joe Biden. The ICC, based in The Hague, has repeatedly denounced U.S. sanctions as an interference with its independence. In a statement, Court President Tomoko Akane called the measures a grave attack on international justice, urging global support amid its Gaza war crimes investigation. The probe, launched in May 2024, examines potential crimes against humanity, including civilian bombings and aid blockades that have killed over 43,000 Palestinians, per Gaza health authorities. Critics, including human rights groups such as Amnesty International, condemned the sanctions for shielding impunity. This undermines accountability for war crimes, said Amnesty's Agnes Callamard. Supporters, including pro-Israel lawmakers, praised the action as defending allies. The clash highlights the deepening rift between the U.S. and the ICC, with implications for global justice efforts. In a dramatic turnaround, European leaders clinched a landmark $105 billion funding package for Ukraine late Thursday, averting a humiliating collapse in support for Kyiv amid escalating Russian aggression. The deal, hashed out after 18 hours of tense negotiations in Brussels, restores the EU's battered credibility on the global stage, just as U.S. aid falters under domestic political gridlock. The package allocates $65 billion for military aid, including advanced missile systems and drones, $30 billion for economic reconstruction, and $10 billion in humanitarian support. It comes as Ukraine faces its harshest winter yet, with Russian forces pounding energy infrastructure and advancing in the east. Europe cannot abandon Ukraine now, declared European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, her voice weary but resolute after marathon talks. This is our line in the sand. Skeptics had doubted the bloc's resolve following months of bickering. Hungary's Viktor Orban, long a thorn in the side, initially blocked consensus, demanding concessions on migration policy. A breakthrough came when Germany and France brokered a side deal, securing Orban's abstention in exchange for relaxed asylum rules. The final vote passed unanimously among the 26 supportive members. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky hailed the move as a lifeline, pledging to use funds for a spring counteroffensive. Analysts say the deal signals Europe's shift towards strategic autonomy, reducing reliance on Washington. Yet, challenges loom. Funding draws from frozen Russian assets and national budgets strained by inflation. With the ink barely dry, questions swirl about implementation speed. For now, the EU has reclaimed its mantle as Ukraine's staunchest ally. That was the 7 Days Report Show. I'm your host, Vasilios Nikolaos Vitsalogiannis. Before signing off, I would like to thank you for listening to our news. Until next time, stay informed and be safe. Goodbye.